And away we go. So, good morning, good afternoon, good evening, everyone, wherever you happen to be in the world today. Welcome, one and all, to Coffee Talk. It is time once again for Coffee Talk Live, where we will be having some discussion about what is going on in the world today. We'll share a little bit of dialogue with those of you who have joined us for the live portion. And if you are listening somewhere else and you would like to join the live portion, you can find us Monday through Friday at 2 p.m. Eastern Standard Time on YouTube, on Coffee Talk and Prep University. That is at Coffee Talk Live and at Prepper University. You can find me on X at Coffee Talk Chat. You can find me on fistfulofradio.com, podcasting out of Atlanta, as well as Rumble Coffee Talk 2, and that's the number 2. And what you're listening to right now, that is what AI thinks Valentine's Day music is, courtesy of Restream. And that's enough of that. That's enough of that bad off-tempo music. As I'll go ahead and you can see right there, there's Miss Kitty. Hi, Miss Kitty. How are you today? Keeping me company. She's clingy today. Something must have happened. Something must have happened. I'll go ahead and say hello to some of the people that have chimed in so far for the live portion. I see Brian is with us. Helter is with us. Jane is here, as well as Marvel Fan, Armored Ghost, Ace is here, and Dragon saying hello, and hello to everyone else who did not choose to chime in or can't for whatever reason. That's okay. That is okay. And Armored says to defund the blob. Can the blob obstruct Orange Caesar with the judicial system, or can Team Orange ignore them? I know they tried to, a federal judge blocked Musk from accessing the records in the Treasury. He's not interested in your personal information. He's trying to find out who else the Treasury has been sending money to that they probably shouldn't be. That was the whole point. And in theory, a judge really can't block that. But, so it's going to turn into a fight. It's going to turn into a fight. Drubal is here, as well as T. He says many of the January 6th rioters that were pardoned are offenders, registered offenders. Okay. And he names 2 people, Theodore Middendorf and David Daniel Casey Hopkins. But there was like over 1,500 people. So how many is many? How many is many? Not trying to condone it, but I'd like to see specific numbers if possible as we get ready to jump in here. And how is the audio? How is the audio? I'm trying using the microphone on the camera as opposed to the independent desktop microphone to see if that has any difference. And Raccoon has joined us. Also, for that matter, T, remember that some of the people that Biden gave Biden gave a pardon to before he left office were also registered offenders, as well as people who were in prison for treason and other weird offenses, people who were in prison for Ponzi schemes and so on. And Raccoon says it sounds okay. Trying to do away with some of that tinniness. And from what I understand, before I open up the first article here, talking a little bit about the Super Bowl. I did not watch the Super Bowl because I don't care about the Super Bowl. I don't watch organized sports at all, let alone football. But one thing that I have found out is that with the Windows 11 in particular, apparently a lot of people had problems with both microphones and speakers. That there was a lot of glitches where things didn't sound right. Things did not sound right. And Bob is here. Glad you could make it today. And so I've been trying to work it out. And I want to see if this sounds better than the previous microphone that was being used. Going to the Irish Star. Donald Trump gets clear reaction from fans during the Super Bowl's national anthem. This is actually really interesting to me. And Super Bowl, I have seen some clips from it. I did see the national anthem. I did see Trump when he came out, so on and so forth. Okay. Reading into the article real quick, Donald Trump received loud cheers from both Kansas City Chiefs and Philadelphia Eagles fans during the national anthem at Super Bowl, what is that, 59? In New Orleans. The president's attendance at the event, which was attended by thousands of celebrities and high profile guests, they're the only ones that can afford good seats, had been a major talking point throughout the week. He arrived in New Orleans, having been spotted playing golf with Tiger Woods earlier in the day. His presence also led to heightened security measures in the city, I bet, particularly in light of last month's terrorist attack on Bourbon Street. Upon his arrival at the Superdome, Trump was warmly received by the crowd as he saluted John Batista's performance. Prior to this, he had walked along the sideline before kickoff, where he was noticed and cheered by nearby fans before the Super Bowl kickoff. Okay. What I found really interesting about this, and from what I saw, okay, was it's the first time in a while that the media has really allowed or given notice to people taking pride in their country in the United States for a long time. They cheered the national anthem. The crowd roared when Trump walked out. Contrary to what the media would tell you that everybody hates him, apparently not, because they were thrilled. And it's the first time in a long time I've seen pride being shown, pride in one's country openly and not being mocked by the media. The media for a long time, going all the way back to really the Obama administration, media, politicians, and celebrities have sort of a press mindset. Because you remember it was way back then that the whole bit with, I don't want to hear the anthem, I'm going to take a knee, I want to hear the Black national anthem instead, Black Lives Matter shirts, and all the rest of that garbage. That it goes way back to really the onset of the Obama administration. And so it was nice. It was a nice change of pace to see people being able to be comfortable enough to openly show pride in a country and in their president and in their anthem and all the rest of it without feeling like they're going to be kicked in the teeth for it. Jericho says audio on the regular videos are 1080, but the live streams are met, and I guess it's because of the streaming service. It could be. It could be, but and again, I'm going to be switching that out. And JJ is here. Glad you could make it. And Brian says Obama was a cancer. Yeah, they even said so on Boondocks. If you remember the old Boondocks cartoon, and they were interviewing the kid, and he was like, "How do you feel now that everything's going to get better? That Obama's been elected president?" And he's like, "Who said anything's going to get better?" All People says the woke have for no reason made the Black national anthem part of the sports events, yet won't inform society the BNA was written by a guy of post-slavery era Caribbean migrant origins, and on and on. I don't know who wrote it. I know that in specifically all Black schools, a lot of them used to use that along with the regular national anthem. But unless you went to a specifically all Black only school way back in the day, you wouldn't even know that anyways. Modern people wouldn't know what that is or where it came from or when or where or how it was used. And I know that they did the Black national anthem at the Super Bowl also, although I did not watch that, so I don't know how it was received. But it was refreshing to note that the president was well received, even though the media tells us everyone hates him, and that the national anthem was well received by the crowd as well. That was refreshing. That was refreshing, actually, because you're not going to get very far if everyone hates their own country or has been trained to do so. In sharp contrast, someone that everybody tells us, or the media tells us that everybody loves, was relentlessly booed and jeered at Super Bowl. That would be Taylor Swift. And I love the spin on this, though, on this article. And this is from The Independent. Gotta love the spin on this. It says Taylor Swift booed by Eagles fans at the Super Bowl while Trump is cheered. Okay. And I saw that part, and she did look shocked. And she was sitting with that nasty rapper. I forget her name. I don't know or care who she is. Is it Sexy Red? Was that who it was? Was it Sexy Red? She was relentlessly booed and jeered, but not just by Eagles fans. It couldn't be. Not with that much noise. If it was a mixed reaction, it would have sounded like a mixed reaction, and it did not. It sounded majority of the crowd when she popped up on the Jumbotron. Raccoon says, I didn't watch it, but I saw the stupid rapper standing on my dream car, the Buick Grand National. I was so mad. I didn't see the halftime show either. I really don't care about most of this stuff. Again, I don't watch sports at all, organized sports. I could care less about the football. I didn't even know, actually, that it was Super Bowl weekend until somebody asked me if I was going to be watching the Super Bowl. And that was like Saturday. Like, are you watching the Super Bowl tomorrow? And I'm like, is that tomorrow? Because I'm not even paying attention. That's how little it means to me. Article says Taylor Swift received a negative welcome from Philadelphia Eagles fans throughout this year's Super Bowl. I'm sure it was just them, right? I love that spin, though. I love that spin. America's sweetheart. And where's all the Swifties tonight? Where's the Swifties? Huh? I thought everybody loved Taylor Swift. I guess not. The Grammy winner, yeah, you buy those now, attended this year's game to show her support for her boyfriend, Kansas City Chiefs tight end Travis Kelce. I wonder. I wonder if they're still together, because this is a good opportunity for her to dump him and write a song about him. Aren't all her songs about dumping boyfriends? It says, however, the Eagles fans were quick to show support for their team as they began to boo her. Okay. After the Karma singer, I don't know that song, was shown on the Jumbotron, the crowd erupted in boos, which she appeared to be unbothered by. She actually looked kind of shocked. I don't think it's fair to say she looked unbothered. She looked kind of surprised to me. Swift quickly reacted as she looked over at the people she invited into her suite. Ice Spice. Oh, is that who it was? Ice Spice. I don't know who these people are. And the Haim sisters, SD, Danielle, and Alana, before giving the camera a side eye. Well, that would be called a reaction, people. And there she is. You can't really do that. You can't really do that. And there you go, right there. You're not going to tell me those are Eagles fans that are giving thumbs down and booing and yelling. If they're wearing red, they're not Eagles fans. And Monkey is here. And Arvid says the Swifties didn't appear because they didn't receive their USAID checks. Oh, is that what happened? is that what happens? Jericho says, imagine if Selena Gomez showed her face there, she would have been finished. But again, these are the people they're always telling us are popular. I wonder how popular Beyonce really is then, or Dwayne Johnson. If he were to turn up, would he be jeered and booed? Would Beyonce be jeered and booed off stage practically or out of the stadium? I don't think most of these people, I don't think anyone really likes them. Okay. There's a meme floating around and it shows Brendan Fraser and Keanu Reeves. And it says someone could make a movie with these two and just call it movie and people would want to see it. I get that because those are two people in Hollywood that the majority of people don't hate. The rest of these people, I think everybody hates them. Really, I think they hate them. And Taylor Swift is no exception. As I catch up here, Raccoon says the arrogance on her face when she heard the boos, like, who, me? But everyone loves me. Yeah, I know. Well, everyone that's surrounding her tells her that she's loved all the time. Armin says, oh, I read that. Nature Nerd says Taylor's used to her concerts cheering, not booing. As Drupal says, my older sister was home for a visit a month ago, asked if my daughters were Swift fans. I replied, no, we don't support Satanists in this house. And she thought that was a joke. Patriot says, I bet next year they'll have a country music star perform at halftime. A real one. Maybe. That would be nice. And I'll put that up from all people, suggesting Swift is a government creation of the CIA. Could be. You never know. You never know. But again, that was in some regard to me, even though I'm not a football fan. I did not watch the Super Bowl. I don't care. I'm not going to go to a Super Bowl party. If I was invited, I wouldn't go because I just don't care. I just don't. But it was refreshing to me to see people being able to express national pride in the national anthem and in their president without fear, which we haven't had for what, 16 years? Pretty much, right? Almost 16 years. That's ridiculous. That is absolutely ridiculous. And again, I know they did the Black National Anthem also, but I do not know how that was received. I don't know, maybe one of you guys saw that, but I didn't watch that clip. JD says most of Taylor's fans are teenage girls, not exactly who you'd find at this Super Bowl. Well, not only that, but you know what's funny is when you see a group like that, like, and I've noticed this if you watch the concerts, right? If you look at the fans, same thing with like Justin Bieber or any of bands like this, you'll see an ocean of teenage girls, and then there's that one guy that looks like he's 64, and you're like, please tell me you brought your granddaughter there. Oh my. And Monkey says, Taylor's face reminds me of the part with Mr. Burns in the movie theater on his premiere, and he asks, are you saying boo Burns or boo? Yeah, indeed. But that, again, that was refreshing to see. That was refreshing to see. Also funny to see. And there's a little bit of twist on this as well, but I get it. I get why this was done. And this is an Associated Press article that's going to be coming up here. As soon as Restream lets me open the damn thing. Anytime, Restream. Anytime. Anytime. It says Trump says he's ending Biden's classified intelligence briefings in payback move. You must have seen this article by now, I assume. I don't know if it's necessarily a payback. Did he say it was? Because I know that I think Trump was the first president in history that they cut off, that Biden cut him off from his briefings. Correct? That had never been done before, as far as I remember. And here it is. It says President Donald Trump said Friday he's revoking former President Joe Biden's access to government secrets and ending the daily intelligence briefings he's receiving in payback for Biden doing the same to him in 2021. Did he say it was payback, though? I want to know if he worded it that way. Trump announced his decision in a post on his social media platform shortly after he arrived at his Mar-a-Lago home and beach for the weekend. I could see him cutting Biden off because he doesn't trust him. And also because of his cognitive decline. And Brian wants to know, what exactly do people dislike about Justin Bieber? Probably just his arrogance. He was pretty arrogant. And JD says, I think most people these days feel bad for Bieber after what he's taken. True. So, quote from Trump: there is no need for Joe Biden to continue receiving access to classified information. Therefore, we are immediately revoking Joe Biden's security clearance and stopping his daily intelligence briefing. He set this precedent in 2021 when he instructed the intelligence community to stop the 45th president of the United States, me, from accessing details on national security, a courtesy provided to former presidents. So he's letting you know that Biden did it first. And I imagine there is some measure of payback there. But more so, I would assume it's more an issue of A, you can't trust Biden, and B, he's in serious cognitive decline anyways. You don't know what he's going to say to who. The move is the latest in a vengeance tour of Washington that Trump promised during his campaign. He has previously revoked security clearances for more than 4 dozen former intelligence officials who signed a 2020 letter saying that the Hunter Biden laptop saga bore the hallmark of a Russian information operation. He also revoked security details assigned to protect former government officials who have criticized him, including his own former Secretary of State, Mike Pompeo. And it's like, okay, but that's what all presidents do. You fire and revoke the clearance of all staff that are associated with the opposition. That's pretty common, actually. That's pretty common. And in the case of the FBI people who worked on the Hunter Biden laptop and who were accusing Trump of collusion with Russia, we all know now that was all made up. That was all made up. And Cyberjack Sr. has joined us. Glad you could make it today. Monkey says Biden won't even remember his clearance being taken. He's too busy being a speaker with an agency now. Yes, he did. He did. And All People says, what do you think of President Trump creating the office his administration said will protect Christians, led by Paula White? Paula White? I had not heard that. I don't trust any televangelist, though. I don't like that idea. He probably was just trying to pick somebody who's popular, if that's true. He's probably just trying to pick somebody who's popular. Not a good move, though. Any mega pastor of any kind, I would not trust personally. I would not trust personally. That's interesting. That is interesting. I had heard that he was going to try to protect Christians, though, because they had been getting targeted in the United States. JJ says Trump is kicking names and taking ass or something like that. Yeah. Oh, and Monkey has joined us. You may not be able to see him. He's in the chair behind me. Of course, Monkey is jet black, so he blends in pretty well. Blends in really well. Speaking of security clearances getting revoked, and this is going to be a Fox News article coming up here. Security clearance revoked. Because there's plenty of that to go around. Trump removes Anthony Blinken, Letitia James, and Alvin Bragg's security clearances, amongst other. And I'm like, Alvin Bragg? Why does Alvin Bragg need security clearance to begin with? Or what kind of security clearance does Alvin Bragg actually have? He's a district attorney of a New York borough. He's the Manhattan district attorney. What kind of security clearance are we talking about? What kind of security clearance does the district attorney of Manhattan need? Bad enough Alvin Bragg is the highest paid district attorney in the country. In history, article reads, President Donald Trump decided Saturday to remove security clearances for several Democrats, including former Secretary of State Anthony Blinken, Manhattan District Attorney Alvin Bragg, and New York Attorney General Letitia James, both of whom are vocal Trump critics. Well, keeping in mind also Alvin Bragg was hired on the idea that he would make it a priority to target Donald Trump and find some way to make something stick. He campaigned on that. And it's been revealed again at this point, he twisted the law to push through that so-called hush money case, which is why he's a convicted technical felon who, for some reason, nobody wants to impose any punishment on. They just kind of let it go. He doesn't even have probation, nothing. Gee, I wonder why. Because it's going to get overturned when it goes to a higher court because Bragg cheated. Simple as that. Quote, bad guy, take away his passes, Trump told the New York Post of Blinken, Biden's Secretary of State. James and Bragg were involved in prosecuting Trump in New York last year, and James's office filed a lawsuit on Friday on behalf of 18 other Democratic state attorneys generals over the Department of Government Efficiency's access to the Treasury Department's payment. Really can't do, as from what I understand. Security advisor Jake Sullivan, Biden's deputy attorney general Lisa Monaco, and attorneys Andrew Weissman, Mark Zaid, and Norm Eisland also had their clearances revoked. Eisen, an anti-Trump lawyer, also represents anonymous FBI agents suing the Department of Justice to block the public identification of the agents who investigated the January 6th incident. Is that him? Wow, he's pale. Vampire Eisen. Golly, dude. Walk around outside for a while. Oh my God. Sven says he has it to prosecute things that skirt terrorism. He is a traitor. Talking about security clearance. And all people said, did Fani Willis have those same security clearances? She did visit Harris many times from 2020 to 2024. That's a good question. And if so, she should have it revoked as well, especially now that she's been thrown off the case. That case is up in the air. They're not sure if they want to even bother to continue with it now that Fani Willis is gone. And really, for the most part, A, there is no case. Nothing illegal was done. But B, how do you pursue it when the district attorney was so corrupt to begin with and got elected twice? Just saying. JD says, how can a woman televangelist claim to even be Christian? Here we go. It is clearly forbidden by the Bible to have female evangelists or female priests. Female priests. But a female could be a teacher, I believe. But I doubt that she even qualifies. Anyway, again, I don't trust any televangelist. I'm always with Sam Kinison on that, who I have brought up before. Monkey says apparently to be a Manhattan district attorney, you need a security clearance as a requirement. Really? Really? Nature Nerd says, I hope Doge can continue exposing the wasteful spending in our government that is sinking our country with debt, inflating the dollar, and raising our taxes. But the Treasury is corrupt. Most of these government agencies are very heavily infiltrated and corrupt. I would like to see, there was a rumor that, and I don't know anything about the halftime commercials. I didn't see any of them. There was a rumor circulating that Musk was putting together a commercial that he was going to pay for out of pocket to showcase some of the wasteful spending exposed in U.S. aid. And that it was speculated that might appear in the halftime commercials, which would have been great. I don't know if that happened or if he's really doing that or not. It's kind of rumor mill stuff. Who wants to bet this guy's wearing a toupee? You think he's wearing a toupee? The picture that's sitting up here of that attorney. Sven says it's always been conditional, and this then start making clearances permanent. And JJ says Phil Collins also sang about corrupt television evangelists. But I always, in particular, Sam Kinison always comes to mind because I saw him in concert a million years ago. And he showed, I've mentioned this before, he had a film he projected behind him of himself as a 5-year-old in a little white tuxedo, Bible thumping on stage on television, because his parents were his parents were evangelists, and he flat out told you they were full of shit. They didn't believe anything; it was all a fraud, and that's why he got away from all of that once he understood. What? I don't trust none of those people. You can't hardly trust most people, anyways. You can't trust most people, anyways. People are selfish and mean and angry and stupid. And it takes a lot for people to decide to not be like that and improve themselves. Most will never stop being that way. They'll put on a facade. They'll pretend like they're better or that they're not like that, but they are selfish and mean and angry and dumb, plain stupid and ignorant. And I can keep going. I can give you a list a mile long of of what's wrong with people and why I like animals better. Incredible. And so is this. So is this. This is an organization that may as well just drop themselves in the hole and start covering themselves up with dirt at this point. And that is the Boy Scouts of America. USA Today, Boy Scouts of America officially changes its name to be gender inclusive. Oh, what can I say? This is an organization that's more than a century old, that has been infiltrated and completely destroyed. Completely destroyed from the inside out. Boy Scouts of America, as it has been known for 115 years, is now, and they stopped being the Boy Scouts more than 20 years ago, okay, is now officially Scouting America. The name change went into effect Saturday. The organization announced the name change last spring, almost exactly 1 year after emerging from a 3-year bankruptcy tied to the largest child abuse case involving a national organization in history. All right. And that's part of the problem also. As I pointed out, they've long since been infiltrated. They have long since been infiltrated, the Boy Scouts of America. Okay. I don't know how it is in other countries. This started to get to be a problem in the 80s, infiltrated by people that were abusing those boys, which is where those lawsuits came from, which is why they had to file for bankruptcy. And making them all inclusive is not going to solve that problem. The problem is the infiltration of the organization. Going back, I'll talk about it a little bit because, you know, I'm on ScrewTube and you don't know how they're going to react. The live portion again on ScrewTube here. When I did the interviews in the early 90s for the Boston Phoenix newspapers, I cannot tell you how many of those men had fantasies about Boy Scouts. Some of them so detailed that they would role play with their partner wearing scout uniforms. And you wonder what the problem is with the Boy Scout of America. But then they insist on being there. And then you think that being exposed instead of trying to fix that or fight that or change that, your solution is to make it more inclusive. Oh, Nature Nerd says giving education back to the states would make California schools even worse and more woke. That could be, because California is in big trouble. New York Patriot wants to know why the Girl Scouts aren't doing the same, because it's always primary target for the last 16 years, 20 years has been white males. All people said Billy Graham, world's most infamous evangelist, was a 33-degree Freemason. His offspring have implied that he did not believe in or practice what he preached. You know, to be a Mason, you're supposed to believe in God too. It's one of their requirements. JJ says, which of the 70-plus genders will the Boy Scouts change their name to? The Cake Gender Scouts of America. Well, they got another one now, the seasonal one. You heard that? Seasonal, what do they call it? Is it season gender or gender seasonal? I think it's gender seasonal, where it changes to something else with the passing season, and it could be any random thing. I saw a video on it a few days ago. It doesn't make any damn sense. And that's what All People says. Boy Scouts of America welcome to the Rainbow Scout leaders, and they ruin the kids' lives. As we move on, JD says by being inclusive, they're welcoming them in. Yeah, they're welcoming in the danger in, but they haven't been the Scouts. I mean, I would not want to put a kid in the Scouts anymore. You can't trust it. You haven't been able to trust it for a long time, really, since the 80s, since back when it started getting infiltrated with that sort of thing. That's incredible. What are you going to do? What are you going to do? This article right here, next one, Western Journal article, is why Trump is supposed to be creating something to protect specifically Christians in the United States. Idaho National Guard has formal policies that keep Christians out of command roles. So just as President Trump looks to address anti-Christian bias with a new task force, Idaho's Army National Guard is being outed for a policy that needs investigation. In a clip posted to social media platform X Thursday from Newsmax's Todd Starnes show, host Todd spoke to founder and chairman of Liberty Counsel, Matt Staver, about his client, Major David Worley, and his lawsuit against the Idaho Guard for instituting a no Christians in command policy. Yeah, how about that? A member of the Guard, is this where it drops to? Yes. A member of the Guard has filed a complaint against Worley, labeling him unsafe after digging up past comments Worley had made on Facebook about opposition to children attending drag queen story hour or having access to pornography in public libraries. Worley had also spoken out against gender surgery. Complaint was lodged when it was announced Worley would be taking command of the Idaho National Guard's recruiting and retention unit. The soon-to-be subordinate said the officer should be investigated and punished for remarks. Staver said the comments, which were made long before Worley's promotion, and the subsequent complaint spawned the policy now being charged. The policy says the backgrounds of commanding officers and soldiers ought to be scrutinized for their beliefs that they, that is the National Guard, consider to be extreme. And they considered it to be extreme that children should not be exposed to pornographic material in a library or a drag queen story hour. Yeah. Starnes added the soldier that lodged the complaint was gay, and the complaint accused Worley of creating a toxic work environment before he ever arrived or assumed command. And evidently, no person on command staff in the Idaho National Guard is so-called Christian. Armand wants to know, how does this happen in Idaho of all places? Incredible. But that's exactly the problem right there. And I think those are that's not a comment that you should be overlooked for a position for. I don't think kids should be able to see that at a library. I'm not opposed to that. I'm not opposed to that at all. I don't think there should be pornography at the library at all, let alone whether or not kids can see it. I don't think it should even be there. Brian wants to know when that's going to be illegal. It used to be. It used to be, and that's what Bunko, was it Bunko Squad? Bunko Squad used to go after that back in the day. It used to be highly illegal to, photographs, magazines, videotape was all contraband. It was all contraband. It was prohibited in the United States. And I think it was made legal in the 70s. And that's when the porn industry really blew up and was making money hand over fist because they could legally sell it. And as time wore on until we got to where we are now the stuff's worthless. It's worthless. These actors don't really make any money. I don't care what they tell you. They're like rappers. They act like they make a lot of money. They don't, because you can watch all that crap for free on the internet. So why pay for it? It drives the value down. You went from stars that were in that industry in the 70s making millions to now they're getting a couple of $100 for a shoot. I saw a documentary on it a few years back. Now for everybody's favorite politician. Everybody's favorite politician. If you can guess who I'm talking about, well, you're about to find out. You're about to find out. Tell me who this is. Because she's got something to say. Can you tell? There she is. That's AOC, everybody. Shouting as usual. And does she know what she's talking about? You tell me. Fox News article, AOC tells voters worried about grocery prices to wait until the farms are empty on account of deportations. Okay. So AOC warned people who voted based on grocery prices to wait until the farms are empty after all the mass deportations. The Democrat lawmaker recently addressed the Trump administration's crackdown on illegal immigration through thousands of arrests and deportations conducted by Immigration and Customs Enforcement. As more raids are conducted throughout the country, Ocasio-Cortez emphasized the danger of losing illegal immigrants as assets to the United States economy. Really? But let's be clear, the people who are voting in this way oftentimes don't respond to a case of compassion and humanity. And so if you don't want to be hard-nosed about it, understand that America's immigration force and our community of immigrants, including and especially the millions of undocumented people in this country, are why America has prospered, especially why we survived the C virus. Really. So illegal immigration is why we're not all dead from the C virus. Gotcha. That makes a lot of sense. That you can't make this stuff up, folks. That was a quote. That was a quote. Oh my God. Also, if you're talking about field pickers, okay, AOC, you might want to actually go out into California and other states where that is done to see what actual migrant field hands look like, because they have permits. Okay, have you seen these people? The majority of them, I mean, granted, there are some illegal ones, but the majority of them have work permits. They work the farms in a migratory fashion. That's where you get migrant from. The people that have been pouring over the border are not coming here to pick vegetables. They came here to get a handout because the Biden administration told them there would be one. I can't imagine she's that dumb, but I have to assume, like most politicians, they are assuming their audience is, that the people who hear her say this are not going to actually do the research. There's a really good movie about it starring Charles Bronson called Mr. Majestic, actually, because he was hiring migrants, but he was only going to hire the legal ones, and that's he got into a battle with another guy over this because he had legal migrants with paperwork who were authorized to cross the border, pick vegetables, and then go home after the season was over. We've been doing that in the US for years, for decades, forever. But they have paperwork, the majority of them. And again, there are some who are doing it illegally. Oh, Nature Nerd says more than a quarter of the Boy Scouts in the country were Mormon, and they left 5 years ago, which hurt the organization. Correct, and they left the organization because of the changes in policy. Armand thinks they heard another commenter say AOC was in part elected due to USH. He might have got money from them. That's a possibility. Oh my gosh. But again, this is somebody, I don't, honestly, like most politicians, I don't think she's half as stupid as she comes off. I think she just counts on everybody else being dumb. Monkey says, weirdly enough, the Democrats are acting like Southern Democrats pre-Civil War, where they're all saying who will do the fields now. Oh no. Incredible. Armored wants to know if sanctuary city-state policies actually avoid breaking federal law. No. No, because independent states do not have jurisdiction over illegal aliens. Only the federal government does. So they can make all the policies they want. Best they can do is just not cooperate. And ICE will have to come in and do all the work themselves. A nature nerd suggests AOC's acting like the Democrats in 1870. Yeah. And Jericho says media does a really good job at cover photos. Look at the girl. She's such a loudmouth, I bet. I know some of the pictures that they pick for these are hilarious. Absolutely hilarious. They find the most unflattering photos for some of these people. But that's such a dumb comment. That is such a dumb comment. This is the one that's really bothering me, is the stupid bird flu. I'm getting tired of this, okay? I'm getting tired of this. Now there's no milk, too, by the way. I should have filmed it when I was in Kroger the other day. There's no milk, and there's a sign that there's a shortage. And gee, guess why? So here we go. This is an article from Econostrum English. Bird flu spreads again. New strain detected in dairy cows. And I had just pulled this up over the weekend. And I was in, I was in a, what a way for these poor animals to live. Look at them. It breaks my heart. The Kroger was out of milk, citing emergency shortages. So newly identified strain of H5N1 bird flu is confirmed in dairy cattle in Nevada, marking the second known spillover of the virus from wild birds to cows in the U.S. The latest discovery underscores growing concern about the disease's ability to spread between animals and its potential risk to humans. This is why they homogenized the milk, by the way. You do understand why they homogenized the milk, right? Not just to kill most of the nutrients and then add them back chemically, which is why they tell you it's vitamin D enriched. But it's supposed to kill viruses and bacteria in the milk. So if you got milk from a cow that had the bird flu, you're not going to catch it. Same with eggs. If you had a chicken that had bird flu, and you cooked the egg, you're not going to get sick because you cooked it. I mean, is this another excuse to cull dairy herds like you've been culling flocks of chickens and turkeys and ducks? Now we're going to get back to doing this. And as I pointed out several times, because we've talked about this off and on over the last couple of weeks, it's only within the last decade that I recall ever hearing stories about farms being required to do mass exterminations of their flocks and herds. And it really started ramping up during the C virus pandemic because basically main reason wasn't because of any illness. It was because all of the packaging plants were shut down. They were forced to close, and it was cheaper for these industrial farms to dispose of all of their livestock and all of their hens and whatever than to keep feeding them. Nature Nerd says picking berries on the local farms used to be an $11 an hour job in the summers. Really? And Raccoon says, I got real milk from the Amish market in a glass jug, and it was the best milk I ever had because it wasn't homogenized and it didn't have vitamins added back to it that they like they would in the homogenization process. All they would have done is milk the cow directly and then just strain it to make sure there were no impurities. So yeah, big difference. So it says U.S. Department of Agriculture confirmed, yeah, I'm sure I trust them, that dairy cows in Nevada have been infected with a new strain of bird flu, D1.1, and it's separate from B313 variant that has been spreading across the U.S. dairy herds since 2023. This new finding suggests bird flu may have jumped from wild birds to cattle on multiple occasions rather than stemming from a single spillover event. Whatever. And it's not just Nevada now. Oh my God, it's not just Nevada now. And so, what are you going to do about it? Oh, but wait, there's more because we're not done trying to terrify you. They're not trying to terrify. They're not done trying to terrify you, I should say, about the bird flu. Because here, look at this article, KFF Health News. House cats with bird flu could pose a risk to public health. And now your house cats have them. Okay, more than 80 domestic cats, among many others types of mammals, have been confirmed to have had bird flu since 2022. Generally, barn cats that live on dairy farms, as well as feral cats and pets that spend time outdoors and likely caught it by hunting diseased rodents or wild birds. Oh God, animals can't go outside anymore, folks. You're going to have to keep them all in. You can't have, now cats can't be outside. This is what you're telling me. Now cats can't be outside. Does that make any sense? Oh, they might catch it and what? Be sick for a couple of days? Seriously. Nature Nerd says they used to work at Funco, and half his co-workers were illegal immigrants. There was a few gang members running from the cartels. I told them with open borders, the cartels could follow you. Interesting. Interesting. Armored says, should pennies stop being part of our currency or other coins? Yeah, I've heard that he's thinking about banning or taking the penny off the market. They've been trying to get us to get rid of the penny since the late 80s, I think. That's the first time. I think that's the first time I remember them discussing getting rid of the penny. I don't think it would change anything, really. Instead of something being 99 cents, or if you were at Walmart, 98 cents, because that's how they really technically underprice everybody is by making it 98 cents instead of 99. And then they can claim to be cheaper than the competitors, which is bullshit. But all they would do is instead of something being ending in 99, it'll end in 95, or it'll go up to the next dollar. So instead of 4.99, it'll be 4.95, or it'll be $5. I don't think it will really make that much of a difference. I don't think so. Has Drupal said bird flu gain of function? Basically, this is bullshit, and this is just fear mongering. Oh God, house cats might get it, and then they say these chickens. Well, gee, if you got your chickens living like this, no wonder they're sick. Of course they're going to get the flu. Let the damn things live. It's bad enough you're going to kill them and eat them. You can't let them live. Monkey says Amish make the best stuff. I remember going to Holmes County in Ohio to get stuff there. It was good stuff. I was mad when the government was rejected the Amish to help rebuild the homes in North Carolina. I had heard that. I think I heard that. That sounds really familiar. JJ says, which begs the question when the order comes down that we're supposed to wear masks again and practice social distancing. Yeah, and people will do it. People will do it. I mean, bottom line, they'll obey if for no other reason but to go along in order to get along. That'll be the main thing. They'll try to go along to get along. Just to not have to listen to someone else's shit, to not have to put up with their garbage. Monkey says it costs 2 cents per penny to mint. Is it 2 cents? And Puck says save the penny. I don't know how there's not any in circulation. They've been printing pennies for how long? I mean, you still get pennies every once in a while from the 60s and 70s. They're out there. I mean, who's hoarding all the pennies? Are people melting them down for the copper? I mean, seriously. And Nature Nerd says get rid of the penny, round up everything by 5 cents. Or you'd really only round it up by a penny, anyways. But if it costs too much to make, although technically, I think it costs more than a nickel to make a nickel, too, right? And then there's the whole issue with the actual dollar bill, which they've tried to get the United States to go to a dollar coin instead of a dollar bill because the coins are more durable, but they never take. People just don't want that. They're too accustomed to it. And I know they've done away with the $1 coin in several countries. And I don't know if they have a $5 bill in Australia, but I know they have a $5 coin. When I was in Australia, they had a $1, a $2, and a $5 coin, if I remember correctly. Although I don't recall if there was a $5 note as opposed to a coin. And Puck says some people hoard pennies. The only thing that's good for is if you keep a pile of them in a sock to beat somebody over the head with. But back to the point. I mean, the egg shortages, the milk shortages now. Again, this is down to culling herds when you could just let natural selection run its course with these animals on its own. You'll probably lose less than 5% when the flu works its way through and comes out the other end. And the milk and the eggs wouldn't be affected by it anyways. Unless you're just going to sit there and drink raw eggs, and then maybe you got an egg from a hen that had bird flu, and maybe you'll get sick and maybe not because you're eating it. It's not entering your nasal cavity. It's not entering an open wound, I hope. You see what I'm saying? It's an incredible waste and cruel to kill all those animals like that. Absolutely cruel. I can't stand it. Anyways, with that, we are at the top of the hour, so I will go ahead and start signing off. Again, you are listening to and or watching Coffee Talk. I still have Miss Kitty. Miss Kitty, she never left the room. There she is in the doorway, next to that calendar that Granny Smith tore the crap out of. Again, you are listening to and or watching Coffee Talk. And you can find the live portion Monday through Friday at 2 p.m. Eastern Standard Time on YouTube on Coffee Talk and Prepper University. Thumbs up if you don't mind. Share it if you can. Trying to get out there. Still working on the audio. Maybe it'll change when I get back to StreamYard. Hopefully I can get that improved because I do try. Again, I'm not like a real professional studio here. I'm just a guy sitting in his home office and, trying to share with the community. And I do the best I can. I do the best I can, honestly. You can find me on fistfulofradio.com, podcasting out of Atlanta, and Restream or Rumble Coffee Talk 2. So thank you, everybody, for joining us here today. As always, hope you got something out of the conversation. And we will see you again tomorrow.